Howdy. Now it's time to look at shape layers. It's an exciting time. Actually, shape layers are pretty neat. They give us a lot of creative potential as well as some technical advantages that we get that we just don't get when we're working with other kinds of layers here. So the first part of the video here is you just kind of watch it. You don't have to see it. I just want to show you some of the more technical parts of shape layers. I'm going to go to my toolbox and I'm going to choose the shape tool. I'm going to grab the ellipse tool for now and just hold down the shift key and drag out a circle. See how that creates a shape layer in my layers palette. What's cool about this is I'm not stuck with the color. It created a brand new layer, but I don't have to stick with this color. I can double click that color swatch and I can change it to something else just by clicking OK. Alright, and then if I double click on it again, you can see as long as I save it as a PSD file, I can come inside here at any time and I can change that color. Now we can resize these things. This is where it gets cool. I'm going to go into free transform. I'm going to make it really, really small. Hit enter. Alright, now I can go on and I could do work. I could save this file. I could come back to it a month later and decide, you know what, I want to make this larger again. Watch what happens. I can make it larger and I don't lose any quality. And that's because this is a vector shape. And a vector shape is just a fancy way of saying it's infinitely resizable. I can make it as large or as small as I want, and I'm never going to lose any quality with this shape. In fact, we could go up to image size here. It's 500 by 500 pixels. I'll make it 5,000 and hit OK. And once I zoom out, you'll see that the shape is still perfectly crisp around the edges there. So we didn't lose any quality. If we did that with a regular layer, in fact, I can do it really quickly. If we did that with a regular layer here, if I just took my elliptical selection tool here, created a blank layer and filled it with black, and I went into free transform and I made this thing tiny, and then I went back into free transform and I tried to make it big again, you see what happens? Alright, so that's the benefit of using shape layers, especially if you can manage to use them. You can always resize your documents and you'll never lose any quality. Alright, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. That's kind of the boring stuff, but I just wanted to at least show you. Go ahead and open up the image for this lesson, and you're going to see I already kind of built a couple things for you here. Just a background layer with a different color. There's some photos inside of it, and it's even got a shape layer here. Go ahead and just collapse the folder for a second, and you can hide it. We don't need it for now. What we're going to do is build the spread that one of our designers for the NAPP, her name's Christy, she built this really nice spread for a wedding article that we did in Photoshop User Magazine, and she used a lot of shape layers to do this. So it really makes a great example of the power that we have here. Alright, so let's go ahead and click on our shape layer again. You can choose any one of them here. Once you do, you're going to see that you have some options up here in the top options bar for all the different shapes. So we've got the rectangle, the rounded rectangle. When you click on it, you'll see you can change the radius if you want to. The elliptical or the ellipse tool, the polygon tool. There's a line tool here where I can click and drag out a line if I want to. It's even got an arrowhead on it. And if you want to know how to get to those, there's a little arrow here, that little down-facing arrow. Every shape tool has different options associated with it. So when you select the shape tool, if you click that arrow, it shows you some of the options that you can change for your shapes. So I can put arrowheads onto the start or the end here. I can even change the weight or the thickness of the line. And then there's a custom shape tool, which we're going to see in a minute. But the main thing to understand here before we go any further in creating our shapes is the shape layer. There's an icon in the top left. Let me zoom in for you. See that little icon? It's called shape layers. You want to make sure that you choose that icon because that's going to create a shape layer. The next two icons over, the paths one and the other one, they don't create shape layers. So make sure you choose that leftmost icon because when you make a shape, you'll see it appears over here as a separate layer, which is a shape layer, and that's where we get all the benefits from. Okay, so that's the first thing to get out of the way. The second thing is we can draw our own shapes. You can take the pen tool here, and anything that you can draw with the pen tool, you can turn into a shape. So in this example, we're going to create kind of a wavy line. I'm going to just click down toward the bottom here, and then I'm going to click toward the middle, and you can see it's like a little seesaw. Click and drag. Just click and drag, and it's like a little seesaw. I can create a curve. All right. and then I'm going to click up here, and you can see this is a curve and it's starting to angle downward. That's my directional point. It's showing me where that curve is angling toward. But if I click up here, watch what happens. See how it angles back up? And I'm going to click once here, and then I'm going to click and drag. And then I'm just going to click back here in the beginning. You see the little circle next to the pen tool, and that closes the point for me. I don't like that one so much. Let me back off for a second. I think this will look a little bit. It got a little bit distorted there. So let's try it again. There we go. So now I have this nice little shape here. I can free transform this shape. I can do whatever I want with it because, after all, it is a regular layer now. And remember, it's infinitely scalable, which means I can change its size, I can rotate it, I can do whatever I want, and I'm never going to lose any quality with this shape. Alright, so that's how we can create our own shapes. Once you create a shape, if you want to save that shape so you don't have to recreate it with the pen tool later on, just go to your shape layer, just click on it. And by the way, if I click on the background layer, see how that outline disappears? If I click on the shape layer again, it shows that outline doesn't print. It's just Photoshop's way of showing you that that's the shape. Okay? But when you do see that outline, and you can hide it, you can click on that little mask layer next to it, and that hides the actual outline. But if you see that outline, that means that you can save it. So you can come up here to the Edit menu, go down to Define Custom Shape, and I'll just call this, I already created one called Matte Shape, so I'm going to create one called Another Matte Shape, and hit OK. And now when you go to your Custom Shape tool, because that's what this is, it's a custom shape, go to your Custom Shape tool. When you go inside of this shape picker, you're going to see all these different shapes inside of here. If you don't see them, go to your pop-out menu and you can load any of the shapes that Photoshop comes with. I always just load all of them because I kind of like to have all of them there in case I need them. So you can load all of them or just specific ones, but if you scroll to the bottom, see what we have here? If I hover over it, there's another matte shape. That's the one I just created. So when you create a custom shape, it's going to show up inside of this list here, which means I can click on it, go to my canvas, and now I can drag one out, and I don't have to recreate it all over again with the pen tool. Alright, so that's how you can create your own shapes with the pen tool and then save them so you can use them later on. I'm going to go inside of here and let's duplicate this layer, Command or Control J. I'm going to turn the top layer, let's turn this to a blue color. I'm going to go with 141, let's go with 191 and 232. It's going to give us a bluish color. And then the bottom color here, I'm going to double click that layer. I'm just going to go with a brown color. You don't have to, it's not imperative that you get the same exact color I'm using here. Just something in the brown family here. And I can use my move tool, so I can move it to the side. I'm even going to rotate it just a little bit, so it kind of looks like almost a double outline that we have here. And right about there. Okay, so we can do some neat things with them. What we're going to start to do here is put some photos into this because I want to show you how you can use these shape layers and just regular layers together. You can use them to create some pretty neat designs once you start combining things. Let's first go ahead and move these guys down a little bit. I'm going to open up this photos folder. Inside here we have a shape that came with this document that I put inside here for you. This is a shape that was drawn with the pen tool. Alright, so you can draw these shapes. I didn't want to make you have to continue to draw shapes in this lesson, so I just put this one in here, and you're allowed to use it. You can just duplicate it. What we're going to do here is put one over here, and I'll free transform it, make it fit, and then I'm going to take the other one. I'm going to go into free transform. I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to put it up here toward the top and bring it down a little bit. Alright, so you've got these two shapes here. Let me just do one more thing. Sorry, just want to bring the top up just a hair. There we go. The one thing I don't like about it is they're over the other shape. You can kind of see that. I'm going to drag these guys down to the bottom of the layer stack so they appear behind the shapes. Now we can start to bring some photos in here. So open up the first photo. Just click on that layer and turn the eyeball icon on so we can see it. I'm going to use my move tool and we can move it into place here, maybe even make it a little bit smaller. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this layer fit within that shape. Okay, the first thing I'm going to need to do is drag it to the bottom of the layer stack because I want to be able to see the shape over it. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And the way I'll make the layer fit into this shape here, into this shape area, is just by adding a layer mask. Well, add a layer mask. You can take your brush tool and just make sure you take your hardness all the way up to 100%. All right, and then I'm just going to start painting with black on that layer mask, and now I can hide the parts of the photo that I don't want to see. So I'm going to hide everything that extends outside of the shape here. Again, I'm just painting with black on the photo's layer mask. Take a look at my layer palette. There's the photo. I made sure I put it below so the shape appears above it, and that'll help you out because now I don't have to be totally precise with the bottom of this. I can just erase because I know that the shape is actually covering it. All right, and if you're not familiar with layer masking, if you happen to skip straight to this lesson, make sure you go watch the layer masking videos because that's where we covered all this stuff. I did go a little bit too far, so let's go back here, switch my foreground to white, and just paint that area back in. Okay, so take a look. That's one layer. Let's go ahead. We can turn on another layer here. Couple. We'll put these guys. Let's drag them down, and then we're going to resize a little bit because the photo's way too large here. We're going to put this one right into here. Let's add a layer mask to it and do the same thing that we did before. Just paint with black on the layer mask. The key is that you're using the 100% hardness brush. Because if we weren't using that, we'd get soft edges on our brush and it'd be difficult to blend these things in. All right, and I'm going to be kind of quick here just for sake of time. All right, I say I'm going to be quick, but I need to go back and fix that. Sorry. All right, but I'm going to try to be quick as I can with this just so you guys don't have to watch me mask away for 5 minutes. Okay. And again, because we put this behind the shape layer in the layer stack, the shape layers are actually covering all of it, which means we don't have to spend a whole lot of time making that edge perfect. Let's back off a little bit. Cool. And also, we get another added benefit. Take a look at our layer stack. What did I do here? I kept myself from having to edge out this part of the photo because I put it underneath. If I put it on top, see how it goes over? So I put it underneath. So I'm using my layer stacking to help save me work here as well. And let's just get rid of the rest of this side. Ooh, and notice what I did there? I clicked on the layer I started painting with black. That's not what we want. You got to click on the layer mask. And let's go ahead and get that part. And then we're going to do one last photo here. All right, looking good so far. Let's add the last photo in. Let's do the bride. And let's move her. Again, I think it's a little bit too big, so we're going to go into free transform. Scale. Looks good. Let's bring it down to the bottom of the layer stack again because that'll let everything else cover it up so I don't have to do the work there. Just add a layer mask to it, paint with black, and now all I got to do is the bottom. Because remember, this other photo is covering it and I already masked that area out. Okay? So what we have here is a design that's kind of a mixture of photos, masking, and shape layers. And we did it all basically with just the default shapes that come with Photoshop or by creating any of the shapes that we have here with the pen tool. So there's some very powerful things that you can do inside here, and the main thing I can tell you is once you start creating these shapes, just save them. Define them as a custom shape. Go under that edit menu, define as a custom shape, and that way they're inside of your shape menu and you can get to them whenever you need to, and you don't have to go recreate them all over again.